Hey everyone, welcome to the new episode of the CFA Mindset. And today we have Krishika Jain. She is a CFA charter holder and she works in investment banking. And along with this, she also mentors students for CFA. So, Krishika, it's great to have you today on this podcast.
Thank you for the sweet introduction, Saninde. Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you
I
for
just
this
want to
podcast.
start our podcast with the first question that I have is as you are a CFA mentor, what
Yeah.
is that difference that you usually see in students who usually clear all the levels, not just level one,
Mhm.
and the people who don't clear? What is that difference that is very evident that you can see?
It's in one word, it's conceptual understanding. Yeah. So for those who clear, they have a strong conceptual understanding of everything, even if it's a small thing or a complex formula or anything. They have they break it down in small parts and they understand it completely to the level where if any question is thrown to them, they can handle it properly.
And as a mentor, when somebody comes to you, they ask for guidance. I think specifically for level one perspective this time, because people
Hmm.
are the most confused when they are going to start their journey. How do you think, like, why a mentor or someone who's guiding a person is very important in this CFA journey?
So let me tell you about my CFA journey,
Right.
right? So when I started, actually, it was November 2022, I remember.
Okay.
Okay, so that time I had my CA inter exam. I was pursuing CA at that time. Okay, and 10 days before the exam, I got to know that I have not received my admit card for some of the other reason. And I was very disheartened because I was studying for a year or so. So I thought of enrolling for some other course because I was very sure that I wanted to be in the finance field, and the best course that I came across was CFA. So I had no mentor at that time. Okay, and my I registered immediately the next day. Uh, for CFA Level 1 in Feb 2023. So I had approximately 2.5 months to prepare. Okay, and I was, very in talk कि अब कैसे होगा. So
Mm-hmm.
I, watched dozens of YouTube videos and figured something out. But luckily, by God's grace, by my hard work, I cleared CFA Level 1 in the first attempt in those 2.5 months. So, but the problems that I faced during that time, I don't want the peoples to face the same. So that is why I started with this mentorship program, because it's not like some other MBA course or CA course where you'll get a dozens of video online to guide you
Right.
initially. So you need a hand holding initially. That is why a mentor is very important, and not just in the first or first level or initial level. You require a mentor in level 2 and 3 as well, because again, same, there are not much sources available uh, on social media platforms. So yeah, that was one of the reason why I started mentorship as well.
And I think I totally can resonate with that because I started like making these videos for the same reason so that I can help
Okay,
others as well. But I have a
great.
question that you just mentioned that you were there was a momentum to giving CAM, then you just had 2.5 months. You gave your level one. I think 2.5 months is enough time, but then also it's a time that you need to be very alert. You need to give you like you need to get all in. So when you were
Correct.
preparing at that time, I'm assuming like you were not CA, you have not worked for 5-10 years at that time. You were a freshie
Correct.
kind of. So like how did you uh make sure like in just this time frame that I have like maybe 80-90 days, how I'm going to clear the level one? What was your strategy? What things you did that
Hmm.
led you to clearing level one in a good amount? I'll say like in a short amount of time.
Hmm. So, initially, one must understand that for any competitive exam, you have to revise a subject twice or thrice before going to the exam, and you have to solve as many mock exams as possible.
Okay.
Okay, for any competitive exam. these are the two things that are very important. So I knew that even in those 2.5 months, I had to, uh, revise entire curriculum at least thrice. Okay, and solve the portal questions, because at my time there were 2,500 questions, if I remember approximately, and I had that target that I have to solve those 2,500 questions twice, maybe not thrice but twice. So I was very sure about that, and also solving mocks 1 week before the exam. So that was my strategy that I planned for. Okay, so yeah, there was one person who had done CFA. He's a dear friend, so he helped a lot. Okay, to guide me through the path. He uh, told me that yes, mocks will be just like what you'll see in the exam, so do give a mock. So that's what my strategy was. So I started with lectures, but I really felt that lectures are not my thing, so I started with self study. Okay, so I completed the first time study in 1.5 month. Okay, the entire curriculum. So I was not lying, but I was studying for consistently for 10 to 12 hours during that 1.5 month. Yeah, so that was the first time studying, and simultaneously, I used to solve portal questions. That
Okay.
was my first time completion of the portion as well as the portal.
Yeah, I think like if somebody's not working full time, then this strategy may work because like studying 10 hours is like it's challenging. Not everyone can do it. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
correct.
your
That's
CA
right.
must have helped you in that, like your CA preparation.
Correct. It did. Absolutely, it did.
So
So because I was in CA Inter, a lot of things were, quite similar, and I could understand most of the subjects. Like I was not very new to the entire curriculum. I knew like FSA, corporate issuers, cons, uh, to some level alternative investments. I knew those things.
okay, and
Hmm.
you come from a CA background, then all of this does help. But if somebody is not from a CA background, not
Hmm.
from a I'll say not even from a finance background, what are those subjects that they should do first so they become more comfortable and they develop those basic skills? So maybe clearing level one become much more easier. Like what are those first chapters to start from if you come from a non-finance background?
Hmm. So, in 1 year that I've been guiding people online, okay, so I come across a lot of people who are from different backgrounds. So I suggest according to their background. So, but in speaking in general, I would say that one should always start with cons,
Okay,
irrespective of their background, because what happens is quants is a little formula heavy. So if you get a good hold of the calculator initially, right,
right.
so that will help you in other subjects as well. So you can start with quants. That is fun also, and
Okay,
because it has a perfect balance of practical as well as theoretical stuff in quants. So quants is one thing that you should start with, and then you can move forward as per your liking. Like you can move to FSA if you come from a CFA background, because FSA in all two levels, CFA 1 and 2, has heavy weightage, right? So either you can break FSA down with along with some other subjects, or you can take it initially so that you don't feel that burden later on.
okay,
So that is my suggestion for FSA. And the second half you should mismatch. Like you can take equity, derivatives, fixed income, alternate, anything that you like first, because everything is interconnected. So for the first time when you're studying, you have to study everything, and only then in the second revision you'll understand that okay, this part is connected with equity, this part is connected with derivatives, and then it will all start making sense.
okay. And even in quants, is it like should somebody do the whole quants or like till the time they understand time value of money, they'll be fine?
No, honestly, I would say that don't just do the first half of cons, because people stuck in the second half of cons, the hypothesis part,
Right.
probability part. So then, so you don't, you will not get time, and you will skip those chapters probably. Last May, everyone has the tendency to skip hypothesis and the last few chapters. Uh,
But then
so
also,
one
right?
shot may, yeah.
No, no, please.
Sorry.
I was just saying, but then also, quant, if you do half, like I'm not, I'm totally against, like you should not skip anything. But in
Hmm.
case you understand time value of money, rates and returns, how to find a geometric mean, arithmetic mean, those things, and then you went on to do other subjects, and
Hmm.
maybe you're not able to understand hypothesis simulation, then also you're
Hmm.
not going to miss a lot of things. So like then also, like it's a cross question I'm doing, like then also, do you think like it is fine that you just do 4 chapters, or you stick to your thinking that no, you should, if you start quant, then you should finish and then move on to other subjects?
I would like disagree, because if you see hypothesis, okay, so if you do hypothesis well, you'll understand the portfolio management very well.
Okay.
Okay, so everything is connected. Like every chapter, it will make sense. So if you're sticking to one subject, either go full out with that subject, or take 2 subjects in a day, not more than that. Yeah,
Two
that
subjects
would
in
be
a
my
day,
suggestion.
but if somebody is just studying 3 or 2 hours, then they cannot
Yeah,
take,
then so they can do, yeah.
then
Like
one is
if
fine.
someone is doing full time, yeah, correct. If someone is doing full time studies, then they can
And
move forward
do
with that
do you
approach.
have some like if somebody's doing 2 subjects at a time, in a way, maybe they do in morning one subject, and in night they do something else, or whatever is their strategy, what will be the pair according to you is like the best pair, like maybe ethics go with this, equity go with this, according to you?
Ethics to go alone.
Alone, okay, so
Ethics
now we
has
have
its
nine
own
subjects.
power. Yeah, ethics
Equity
has
with,
its own power. Huh?
equity with which you would.
So for the second half of the portion, I would say you can pair it together. So equity, fixed income, or fixed income derivatives is the best pair, and then equity, and then alternatives. You can pair it together, right? And then portfolio should be studied after all the subjects are done.
Okay.
Okay, because portfolio combines everything.
Yes, in a
It
way.
pays attention to equity, fixed income, derivatives, everything, right? So that should be taken in the end. Then comes the first half. First half, you can, if you like theory, if you have a strong hold of theory, you can pair one practical subject and one theory subject. For example, quants you can take with economics, and FSA you can take with corporate issuers,
Okay.
so on and so. Yeah.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a good
Just
start.
sorry to cut you off. I'm saying practical, but for CFA level one, those who have given CFA level one, they'll know that only 20 to 30% is where you'll have to pick up your calculator. Otherwise, everything is theory based. The
In
question
a
is
way,
asked.
I agree with that point. Like,
Hmm,
yes, you need to know the
correct.
theory. Even they'll ask
Hmm,
formulas in a way of theory. You need to know that thing.
correct.
So, on that question, do you think like it is very important for level one specifically, for like clearing level one? I'm not talking about the knowledge part. Memorizing formula becomes even much more important when you go for level one.
I'm all for making your own notes.
Okay.
Okay, so I used to have formula sheets for all 3 level, irrespective I had the time or not to make it. But I made sure that I sleep 2 hours less, but I'll make the formula sheet. But because it's so important, it helps one day before the exam, when you can't figure out where to study, where to revise, what to you will not be able to figure out everything. So if you have your own notes, that's the best. Having a handy formula sheet, it's the best always. Because before going to sleep, what I used to do is, I used, for say, suppose I did ABS today. Okay, acid base. So I did ABS today, so I'll just visualize the entire chapter, that okay, LOS1 had this, LOSB had this, LOSC had this. So I used to just glance through the entire chapter before sleeping. So it used to help me in portal question solving the next day.
Right.
Yeah. So even similarly for the formulas, I used to look at all the formulas before going to sleep. So that has helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think it's good that if somebody can do, they should definitely do. It
Correct.
will really help them
Definitely.
in their recall when they're going to give examination. And I also agree with the point about the formula sheet, because I remember not just formula sheet, but making your own notes is so important, because on the last 4 or 5 days you are not going to go with any other prep provider notes. Like, they are very lengthy. Like, prep providers don't make it according to you; they make it according to what they think is good. So totally agree with that thing. Now I want to
Mm.
take you to the first section of this podcast, and we have named it as the CFA Courtroom. Just like a
Okay.
courtroom, you will be the
Okay.
judge. We'll give you few cases, and on the basis
Hmm.
of those cases, you will say like whether I agree to that, I'll disagree to that, or it depends. Whatever is your rational. The
Okay.
judge, Krishika, our case one is that most CFA candidates don't fail because the exam is hard. They fail because their strategy was poor.
I agree.
And why?
Mhm. So there are two, three reasons why students fail. I've seen, after talking with a lot of them. Firstly, that they tend to skip few chapters. Okay. One thing that they should know, which is the first must do of this podcast, will be that you should uh, complete every chapter. You should have gone through every line of every chapter, because questions can be asked from any corner. Okay.
Right,
For like CFA level 2, they can pick up a small paragraph, and then they can create a whole case study based on that. So don't skip out any chapter, okay, or any concept per se. Secondly, I have seen students fail because they are very low on confidence on the exam day. They tend to panic a lot. Okay, even they don't trust their own preparation. That's what I have seen. Like, if they are prepared, they'll doubt yourself, if I'm prepared or not, if this exam is going to be too hard. So if the first half is gone, then it definitely creates a bad impact on the second half as well,
right,
right? So that is the another thing that I've seen. Thirdly, that even if they tend to complete everything, uh, they don't either solve the questions, because questions prepare you really well for the exam. So the more you solve questions, the uh, uh, tendency to pass the exam increases, right? And solving questions in a way of mock, or solving questions through portal, anything works, but you have to solve dozens and dozens of questions, right? That these are the three things that I feel. Uh, I'm sorry, Sanidhya, you're not audible.
audible now.
Yeah,
Yeah, the mic. Okay. The case two is that you can clear level one without completing the entire syllabus.
I have to say yes, but
Okay.
but one should not do that. Because I have heard people saying that यार मैंने तो यार hypothesis छोड़ दिया था, but they still managed to clear, or I left some chapter in derivatives because it was too difficult. So even then I cleared, but it is going to create trouble at level 2 or 3. Even if you clear level 1, you will get punished in level 2. So it's better that you get your basics very clear. CFA level 1 is the base of everything. So uh, study CFA level 1, not just for the sake of giving the exam and clearing it, but to understand the concepts and how you can apply it in practical life. Because CFA course is has been designed so beautifully that I felt like studying after waking up. That was the only course where I felt like no, aaj to I want to study. So what? So it's a beautiful course if one understands it completely, if one understands its value, and the depth that they have provided, the knowledge. It's great.
Our last case is that CFA alone will not get you a finance job.
I disagree. I'm an investment banker.
Like you can get a
Being
job
a
if you
CFA
are
charter holder. Yeah.
but even after clearing level 1 and level 2, what do you think?
No.
Uh, you have to
No,
clear all the three levels.
yes. Unless and until you have good reference, it's a no-no.
But like clearing all the levels take time. It's not that you can do it in a year, at least more than a year, even if you are a genius. So then like everyone, like a person should clear all the three levels, spend that much amount of money, and he should be able to be like he should have that level of intelligence, and all of those things work, then only you'll get a job. Like you say that, or like no, you can get an internship by level 1, level 2, but don't expect too much out of clearing
Yeah,
level 1.
so I'll tell you my story. So after becoming a charter holder, I, called up the previous firm that I was working as an intern in. So there they were like, ki, oh wow, you have cleared your CFA levels and now you're a charter holder. We would love to have you back in the firm as a full time. Okay, so it's not like CFA people don't get job. Uh, they definitely do, but don't expect that in after clearing level 1 or 2. Definitely not. Okay. Uh, Although you know, uh, I'm saying the opposite of what I just said, that I received a wealth management role from Anand Rathi in level 2 after level 2, right?
And just on the basis of level 2, or they took your
Just on the
interview?
basis of level 2.
Like,
After, yeah, obviously
after
after
taking
an
an
interview.
interview, right?
Yeah, 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 obviously.
So how
Uh,
many interviews usually they take for that role?
they took 2 interviews.
So
Uh,
like maybe you must have proved the technical skills and your knowledge, and
yeah,
maybe I think that
obviously.
can be also the rationale,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes. There's no shortcut. Yeah, there's no shortcut completely.
So like we
So,
want to make this thing very clear for the audience that level 2 is good to have, but you have to have certain level of knowledge.
correct, 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 correct. So, we'll come to that job thing later, if time allows. But if you have the right skill for the right job, uh, and yes, degree, if you are pursuing anything, degree is very important, to get your initial foot uh, in some role, maybe finance, actuaries, uh, or engineering, whatever. But having a degree is very, very important, I feel.
Okay. So like CFA can be something which can be a side thing that you can have, but it cannot be just the only thing on which you can rely. You need to have maybe a good MBA, a good college, or good working experience in a good firm, so you can back that, and then CFA can be a amplifier, not just something you can rely on.
Is that
Or
a case or a
no, it's
normal
not a case.
question?
It's just a cross. Like we are, the courtroom is now closed. Now we have moved
Okay.
forward.
Okay. So, I mean, one thing that I would say that CFA is building a beautiful network, right? But I think it's still in the process. It's not right there. It can still improve because the curriculum that CFA provides really does not need any degree along with it. So if one has the option to do an internship, or CFA, just like CFA started providing internships or job roles to people. um I think that if that gets scaled to another level, like if they have a good network, I think people will not need another degree along with CFA.
It's just like a CA where you have an articleship and
Correct.
you have the whole
Correct. Correct.
ecosystem.
Where
That can be
they
developed.
create a support for CFA students, initially, just to give them an initial push. Then they can, lead students up to their own uh, skills.
Yeah, but I think that would be very helpful for anyone because although it's a US based, it was started in
Correct.
US, but the costing is so high that
Correct.
if somebody is going to give CFA in developing countries, they have to think once. It's not that you just go and give. If you have a lot of money, then it's a different case.
Yeah. True.
Okay. Now I just want, before we get to the second section and towards the end of the podcast, can you tell me a kind of a roadmap for like each level, level one, level two, and level three? Like if I have 6 months, how should be my preparation? Like maybe in a short, so I like all the audience, all the viewers who are going to get level one, their level two, and level three, they can get an idea about how they can prepare their journey.
So, yeah, I can, give you a short
Yep.
uh, of like how you can proceed for all three levels. So for level one, just get your basics extremely clear. Okay, don't leave any concept, don't leave any chapter, um, and do as many mocks as possible, and because that will help you for your, because you are giving the exam for the first time, you should know how the questions are asked, right? So giving mocks is one of the most important thing in level one. Then secondly is that you should not leave any chapter. That was the second thing. And thirdly, that solve portal questions. These three are enough for level one. For level two, I would say that because the uh, way of asking questions completely change. So it's a case study based uh, level. So there again, solving mocks is very important. Firstly, second, that it takes level one on another level, right? So level two will, break you down, shatter you down, because you'll feel like you know everything because you have studied level one. So you feel like you have the knowledge of it, but it is in much more depth. Okay. So what I did for level two was that I used to solve IFT questions. Okay, so IFT had 300, 500 questions for one subject. So for the subject that I felt I was weak in, I used to solve IFT questions for that. So what it does is that it clears your basic concepts as well and your difficult questions as well. So you get a wide range of questions to solve to practice. That was my approach for level two, that I used to solve a lot of questions
Okay.
because it so for level two it has both like a strong conceptual base plus a lot of question solving. Like
And for
for
level
level one, you can still like have your basics clear and go for the exam, like giving 2 3 marks. But for level two, you have to go all out.
and for level three, when you have CR questions,
Yeah. So for constructive response, so like 50% of the paper is similar to level two, right? Like the
like
MCQ
Winnie's.
case study, case studies questions. But for the constructive response questions, uh, you unfortunately will have to mug up to some point because the institute uh, definitely expects its language, right? So you will have to learn, like you have to speak the portfolio manager's language in your answers, so that should show.
Okay, I think that those are really good advices for all the three level students. And
Mm,
now, towards the end of our podcast, we have
mm,
second section that we called as the Blue Box Blitz. We have taken the
mm.
name from blue boxes. It's just a
Correct.
rapid fire. It will be the
Correct.
fast, the quick one word or like 2 3 word answers that you can give.
Mm-hmm.
So, question number one is the hardest CFA level according to you.
Two.
Most underrated CFA subject.
Underrated. Ethics.
Okay. Most overrated CFA subject.
Um, FSA, I would say.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
One mistake almost every candidate makes.
Leave out a chapter.
One habit that helped you the most in clearing all the levels.
Consistency.
One thing you would do differently if starting again your CFA journey.
Um, Firstly, I would time my levels in a way where I can complete all three levels in the quickest time if possible, right? And secondly, what I would do differently is maybe study from the curriculum, because for level 1 and 2 I did Schwezer, but for level 3 I faced that problem because I had to study from the curriculum. So starting from level 1, I could take more time and you know get my basics very clear by studying through the curriculum.
One advice for non-finance background students.
Don't get scared. It's not that difficult once you get your concepts clear. It's just sit with the books, sit with the concepts, pen your thoughts down. You will crack the code.
Okay. One career skill most of the CFA candidates ignore.
Mm. You are saying in generally for
In
jobs
general,
and everything, in general.
jobs and in generally, people usually who prepare for CFA, they ignore those practical skills.
Practical skills, right? So I think Excel would be one.
Okay.
Apart from that, I think in soft skills, communication would be another.
And the last question is that if some student for any level, doesn't matter, if they're stuck on a mock score of maybe around 55-60%, where like usually the curriculum, the institute says like if you score 70, that's a good number to score, like your chances are high. But if you're stuck on 55 and 60, what things you should start doing so that you can level up and get to a score around 70 and you can start feeling more confident.
So the simple answer is that, say suppose if you start studying at start giving mock at 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. or 12 p.m., right? So once that 5 hour session is done for a mock, students miss on the thing that they have to sit for another 5 hours on the same day to check the mock. If that is not being done, then the score will not improve, because going through your mistakes in those 5 hours is much more important than solving the mocks in the first place. So give mocks the importance, or that it deserves. You'll see the improvement from your next mocks, because you'll get to know that yes, this subject really needs improvement, then you will pay attention to that subject.
And I totally agree with that thing. Like you have to analyze your mocks and even the right answers, not just the wrong ones. So you are confident, like, okay,
Correct.
this is the reason why this was right. This is the reason why this was wrong, and make an error log. So I totally agree with that advice. And thank you so much, Krishika, for coming today on this podcast. And I made a lot of notes. So thank you so much for all the valuable advices that you give. And
Yeah.
thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast.